And welcome to the VSA Capital Tech and Transitional Energy podcast on Thursday, the 3rd of July, the day before Independence Day. So, all a bit quiet this afternoon. But that's just this afternoon. It'll be quiet tomorrow. But we've got our office summer party tomorrow because we don't do a Christmas party anymore. We do a summer party, don't we, Phil?
Yes, we do. And I'm looking forward to that. The weather's going to be good too.
Yeah, we will be sitting outside. No, I won't say where because you might all come and visit us and try and get a free glass of wine. We're not doing that. Now, also, Phil, you're not going to start crying on me, are you?
But we're not going to discuss that, Andrew, either. No,
oh, did you say no politics?
I said no politics, exactly. No.
All right, we won't discuss that.
No,
but Phil's promised me he's not going to cry. Right, what has caught my eye? Not a lot has caught my eye. I think in tech and transition energy this week. I don't know. Why, has anything caught your eye in terms of the general discussion?
The general discussion. Well, I did see we do discuss AI a lot. And its usage, and obviously the investments going to AI. I just saw that there was an announcement that Microsoft are cutting jobs again, and it looks like it's the third announcement this year for Microsoft on job cuts. They announced 6,000 job losses in May, 2,000 in January, 9,000 this week, and this represents more than 7% of their global workforce. And Microsoft have been, investing significantly, hugely in AI technologies. And obviously AI, already we're seeing its impact on the software, in the software industry itself, because AI is capable of developing code and software. But to put this in perspective, the job loss announced Microsoft, it's got 228,000 workers worldwide. So, everything's sort of relative in this. However, we've also seen that Google have mentioned that a third of their code is now software code is written by AI. So, there's been quite a bit in the press about jobs just generally in AI impact, but it's early days for the technology, so we'll see.
Look, AI, clearly AI is important, and the world is a very changing place, should we say, at the moment, and that's why tech and transitional energy is so interesting. Now, the one thing I have noticed, though, in the last few weeks is that the market's perking up a little bit.
Oh, yes, it is.
And there's a few little placings getting away.
Oh, yes,
People are doing things. Now, this doesn't often happen at this time of year. Here we are at the start of July, and the market's perking up. But I think what's also interesting is, I think we did mention this in another podcast, you look at some of the stocks now, and you think, hang on a second, year to date, that's up over 100%. Yep. Things are just sort of quietly going up. So if you see a stock starting to move, my advice is jump on the momentum, jump on the bandwagon, because it's probably going to go up a lot further than you think.
There's something in there. I'll tell you what else I saw this week and related is Mercia Asset Management.
Yeah.
Had their results. Ticker's MERC. Market cap's £146 million. Their shares themselves from Mercia are up by 19% in the last 6 months. This is one of our bigger fund managers of smaller companies. So Mercia run a number of regional VCT funds, the Northern Ventures VCTs in particular. They reported their results this is the year to March end, assets under management of just under £2 billion, and this was up 9.3% from the year before. So when we've been talking about fund outflows, they're seeing inflows. Now, obviously, they are a fund manager and they make profits from managing funds. And they reported pre-tax profits of 5.4 million from a loss in the prior year. But the increase in funds of 9.3% to 2 billion was for their own funds that they directly manage, but they also manage third-party funds, and they were up by 10% as well to 1.8 billion. So, very much a positive momentum of investment coming in, and this is smaller companies and VCT funds, all very important.
And when the funds flow, I don't think it's started to happen yet into UK smaller company funds or UK mid-cap funds. Most of the stuff we're seeing, actually, a lot of it is high net worth, who can see the value in the market and aren't constrained by asset allocators. But anyway, look, it's all good news. Now, what news have you got on the company front?
Right, and much discussed on valuations and those recognising it. Clearly, PE funds have been recognising value in the market, the UK markets.
Yeah.
One of the acquisitions that's been underway that we discuss is Spectris PLC. The ticker is SXS. The market cap now is a hell of a lot more than it was in June. So they had an approach from Advent International, private equity fund, valuing the company at £37.63 per share. And just for reference on that, Spectris shares at the start of June were £20.40 per share. So they pitched in at £37.63 per share. And now that's been trumped by KKR, one of the biggest private equity funds, and they have said that they will pay £40 per share. But I think the total consideration, including the dividend as well, equates to market cap about 4.7 billion. Now, what I will point out in all of this is that it's getting bought out for what it is valued, double what it was valued at on the UK stock market. Spectris has been valued, has been listed for a long time, very well understood, very broad institutional shareholding, and yet being externally acquired for double the value.
And with counter offers, we're seeing competitive bids, and not necessarily in tech and transitional energy, but we are seeing it in other sectors where you are getting competitive bids because everyone's realizing these things are cheap. So I think we're going to see more of that as well, which is great news for the investor.
Yes, it is.
Very good news. Right, what else?
Well, former pick of the year for me, Andrew. This is Volex. Market cap now is £675 million, reported their March year end. What do? They produce, manufacture and design cable and connectivity solutions. Now, it's not just simple cables and plugs. These are highly sophisticated cables that are able to carry high-speed data signals, for instance, in data centers. Ones that can carry high power in electric vehicles, but also in medical equipment. 27 factories worldwide, 13,000 employees. And their full-year results, their revenues were up by 19% to just under $1.1 billion. That fell through to operating profits up 18% to $106 million. And they were seeing strong momentum. It was quite interesting, this, across, particularly electric vehicles, consumer electricals, and data centers. Of course, they saw strong growth there as well, but just generally performing very well.
Yeah, I mean, consumer electrics, we had I know you're going to talk about Currys, but they had a bit of an update, and that was pretty positive. Were you going to talk about that anyway?
No, I haven't got it on here, but I certainly read the results.
Yeah, so Currys doing well as well. And by that I mean Currys, the PC, and not Currys are doing well. Not everyone's running out for a chicken tikka masala.
Yeah, that's right. The biryani sectors are performing. Right.
Anyway, so that's Currys ticked off.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep going, Phil.
I'll keep going. Just distracted for a bit there. Porvair. Again, we've discussed before on a podcast. 350 million market cap. Shares are up 17% year to date. They have interims to May end. Porvair specialise in filtration technologies, and their filtration technologies are used obviously in the water industry for filtering water. Drinking water is fit for consumption. Also, metal manufacturing as well, to remove contaminants in metals in manufacturing processes, and also in aerospace filtration systems. It's quite interesting reading about this. Newer fuels, different types of fuels that are being used in aircraft need different filtration, dust filtration, air filters in aircraft. Andrew, an area you know all about. So those are the sort of areas that they are in. Just looking to their results, so these were interim results actually. The revenue's up by 3% to just under £98 million, and the profit before tax up by 7%. So a good drop through there. And there must have been a bit of an increase in margin along the way, but profits up by 7% to £11.3 million. Divvy, earnings per share, cash generation operations. Yeah, that's the bit I saw, caught my eye.
It was very good, wasn't it?
£10 million of cash generation from just under £98 million of revenue.
Yeah, we like that.
Company, so very, very good. Gelion?
Oh, yes, Gelion.
Gelion, GELN is the ticker. Battery technology, 42 million market cap, shares up by 49% this year so far, Andrew.
They are, which is yes, they are. I'll just stop there.
Yeah, stop there. Thank you very much. Right, anyway, what did they report? This week they reported, and this is something that they've previously made announcements on, and it's for battery energy storage system. This is lithium-ion based, where they are installing a system for Borg Group in Australia. It's a 4 megawatt hour battery system, and it's using Gelion's control software. But they are supplying the whole unit, including the battery cells themselves. And they've just announced that they're completing installment and getting payment for that system. That's quite interesting because they said here that they've just secured 92.5% of the revenues being recognised in full year 25 for them. So that's 900k. The remainder to be recognised is 5k by July 2025. But that equates to, if my maths is correct, about 250k pounds per megawatt hour for the full system. So there we go.
Yeah, okay, that's an interesting statistic, actually, when you put it into context against lithium and vanadium and other batteries that are out there. But you're right, look, it's had a very good run from 10p to 24p this year. So it has bounced, shall we say, but just watch the cash position as well. I'll say no more. I'm going to say no more.
We'll say no more. Right, anyway, moving onward swiftly. Blown by the wind. Windar Photonics. We haven't looked at Windar Photonics before. Ticker is WPHO. The market cap is £47 million. The shares have been a little bit, flying about, actually. 15%, down 15% year to date, but up 1% in the last 12 months. Anyway, reported their full year to December end. Windar Photonics developed LiDAR technology that is used on wind turbines. And it uses, I was just reading about this actually out of interest, but it works on a Doppler effect. So they shine out a laser beam, gets reflected back. They do it over about 80 meters from the top of a wind turbine, and they can tell the wind strength, the wind direction, any changes, and you can remotely monitor it, and you can remotely monitor it very, very quickly over time and make adjustments in the turbine. And what that does, it increases the power output from the turbine. So it makes the wind turbines more efficient.
I sort of do that on the golf course. I pluck some grass and throw it up, and I can see where the wind's coming and how strong it is.
But if you had a golf cap with a little LiDAR system on the top of it,
then it would also tell me how to hit the ball and where to place it.
Yeah, you see,
that'd be interesting. There's an opportunity for them.
There's a gap in them. There's a gap in the market that clearly they haven't.
I also need someone to design a chip to put in the golf ball that actually tells me where it is, a GPS chip, so I can find it in the bloody rough.
We are slightly running off piste on this.
Oh, sorry, yeah, we are. I apologise.
Anyway, they did have their full year results. The company's actually very successfully raised money as well. It's on a number of, it's on 2 placings. They're raising £5.5 million in December 24, and that followed a placing of £4.4 million in April of 24. So its year-end cash reserves were 7.1 million euros. Revenues were flat, but it does seem that they have got sort of order momentum behind them. So the prior loss was 0.2 million euros. Loss this year was 0.9 million euros, but there is a phasing on sales, and that they were very positive on the outlook. But what caught my eye in all of this is they've been developing software alongside these systems, and they have secured. The software was launched last year, and they secured their 3rd sale in the software as well. So, at an interesting stage, I think, Windar Photonics.
One to watch. We'll keep an eye on it, as they say.
We will keep an eye on it. In the meantime, of course, Andrew, you can be thinking about your golf inventions and possibly ideas for raising finance around those.
It's a tough one. Actually, I was talking to my favourite client, the CEO, this morning, and he actually said, I bet you can't do a podcast without mentioning me again, Andrew, because you nearly always mention me. So the question is, do I let the client win and mention him, or do I go, no, I'm not going to mention him for a change?
It's a bit of a dilemma, and you could actually...
That is quite a dilemma, isn't it?
You could spend some time thinking about it and maybe then use next week's podcast to...
So, sorry, dear Mr. CEO, you're not actually going to get mentioned, but I was thinking about it. And on that note, I hope everybody enjoyed it. So it was a bit of a bantery one and a bit of fun and games by Phil and I here today. But it is the summer, it is bloody hot. So what do you expect? And we'll be back next week. But if anybody's got anything they want us to talk about, do let us know. Anybody wants to sponsor us, do say. And I know my FD would love to take a check for mentioning companies in this podcast. That's just brought a smile to his face because he's looking at me. We'll be back next week. Thanks, Phil.
Chat then.
This podcast has been produced and edited by VSA Capital. It is intended for information purposes and not as investment advice. The information is intended for recipients who understand the risks associated with equity investments in smaller companies. Please do your own research and do not rely on a single source when making an investment decision. VSA Capital may derive fees from this content and seeks to do business with the companies mentioned.